Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm so glad you are here. We have another fabulous guest. I drank all my coffee, but I got my water. So I hope you guys have a cup of Joe or tea. Grab the spirit's funny, a refreshment and join the party. You guys, thank you for joining. I'm so excited to be here. Have a fabulous guest. Jesse is amazing, exciting. I'm slow down, spirit. I'm so excited for you guys to hear his journey kind of opening up with spirituality and very much I know they go logical, understanding, earth element energy way. Hello, everybody. I'm seeing you're clicking on. I'm so glad you guys are here. Definitely, you guys, I just told Jesse before we clicked on, I feel so much strong Mel and earth energy. So if you guys also know somebody who's definitely opening up to this spirituality sense, good morning. Good morning, Drew. Good morning, everybody. This is your guys' show. Jesse has had an extremely different journey, and I'm so excited that he's here. How spirit connected us is, I want to tell you the story before he clicks on, because it's kind of funny. So you guys know I do meditations in the bath and stuff. And I was meditating, and they were having me synchronize with breath. And I was like, okay. Not that I don't always do this, but I was like, okay. And then, I get out of the bathtub, and I was getting ready for bed, and I checked my phone. And, oh, Dallas, I'm so glad you're here. I just see your little face. I, threw energy to all these Mels because I think it's so important that you guys hear his story. And I got, a friend request or something, and Jesse was, having people in an ice bath, breathing. And I was like, oh, that is never going to be me. So you guys, let's welcome Jesse, our guest. Let me click this over. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being my guest.
So good to be here.
I definitely want to talk about that, because everyone's going to be like, what, ice bath and controlling your brain and your breath, because everybody knows I don't like to be cold. So I'm always complaining. I even have my blanket. I'm always having my blanket, and I'm always freezing. So when I saw that picture, I was like, I cannot believe he does that. But I definitely also want to talk about who are you? What's your journey? How did you open up to spirituality?
Great questions. It's it's such an honor to be here, and so cool how we connected through social media.
Yes.
And you just kind of appeared, and we came together. And the last few years has been happening like that. People have been coming into my life that just seem, it's just the perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my journey's been a great one. And here I am with you. I don't know where you want me to start, but
yeah. So why don't you talk about, because Spirit said to me this morning, I've been writing questions. I kind of told them how I work. I know. So kind of go from the beginning of not, you can condense it, but from the beginning of when because you own a company, so it's kind of starting on that, and then when things kind of shifted in your life.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I was growing up into martial arts and into mostly into the sport of wrestling and athletics, and that took me to college where I was wrestling and then continuing my martial arts journey. And when I graduated from school, I really was at the point where wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I knew that I really enjoyed connecting with the physical and getting in that space of that you can get into in competition, deeply connecting with yourself, and that's really all I knew. But I fell into into sales positions and enjoyed connecting with people as well. So I went down that road, and I was balancing my martial arts career, and I fought in mixed martial arts after I was an amateur boxer and amateur wrestler, and I was kind of balancing that with my career. So part of me was studying health and wellness and testing my mind and body and learning about that connection. Then part of me was in the corporate world, and then I started my own business in commercial landscaping
Mm-hmm.
about in 2008, so 11 years ago now. And so that was a cool journey. So I was always balancing my passion for health and wellness and with my work life until recently, where I found the Wim Hof method.
What's
And
that? Tell
the
everybody what that is.
the Wim Hof method is uh, created by Wim Hof, this Dutch um, daredevil, amazing human being. He holds something like 25 world records for cold exposure and different things, and he has proven that he can influence his immune system and gain control over that. And he's also shown that he can teach other people to do this. So I was always weak in the cold. That was probably one of my biggest weaknesses. I hated the cold. I grew up on the East Coast of the States in New Jersey, and then lived in Boston, and had realized that the sun always called me. So I moved west and have been in Arizona for the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So so the cold was really what drew me to Wim, and I saw the this guy doing all these crazy feats, and that's kind of what started it. But I had a journey with yoga, and I've been doing yoga practices for since 2002. But I never really dove deep into the breath work of yoga. It was really
Right.
more the physical practice. And the Wim Hof method is made up of three components. So it's specific breath work, it's cold exposure, and mindset training. So shortly after I started doing the breath work and the cold exposure, I gained a lot of clarity in my life. I was in a relationship that was completely out of alignment, um, and things just started to become more clear to me, and I started to make some really powerful and important decisions in my life that moved me more into alignment with myself, and now with all that I'm doing with my life and my career and everything.
That's awesome. Sorry, everyone's like, oh my God, he's so cute. You probably get it all the time, but everybody's like, oh, he's so cute. He's awesome. So you teach this method over online, one-on-one coaching, right?
Right, yeah. I do a lot of workshops here in Arizona, but I also travel to different states. I've been doing workshops in New Jersey, in Florida, Colorado, California, um, and elsewhere. So I'll do group workshops where we have 20 to 40 people, and it's like a 4 hour workshop. And we dive deep into the Wim Hof method, the science behind it, and then also practice it. And then I do also one-on-one coaching. So I got certified under Wim Hof and his company Interfire. It's like a family business, and so that's one of my main modalities that I teach, the Wim Hof method. I also am certified in a breath modality called the Buteyko method, and a lot's been written about it in a book called The Oxygen Advantage. Some people may or may not have heard of that, but it's more systematic training for overall habitual breathing, changing your permanent breathing pattern, whereas the Wim Hof method is more about tapping deeply into yourself, releasing trauma, and then really like learning how to control your nervous system and your immune system and retraining your body to deal with stress and better adapt to stress. So,
Okay. So Spirit is saying that this is, slow down. This is different than meditation, though. This centering and balance and breathing technique is different than meditation, right?
yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely ties together, but it's different. It's not just a meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So Spirit also said, because you just mentioned too, that so when somebody comes to you, and let's just say that they are in, yes, like a corporate job and they're stressed to the max, and meditation, they can't really silence their mind to get into their center. That if, since you're trained and certified in these two, could you sit with your client and know which one is the best one for them? Is the best way I can describe this.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because I get this a lot, especially with people who are connecting with me, like, I can't get into meditation, I can't center myself, like, is there anything else? And I find all these remedies, and yep, slow down, hold on. And Spirit is saying, like, especially when you were talking, I don't know which one it was, about the nervous system and something about the synchronized breath that really helps people to kind of get to transition. You're in helping them slow down with transition.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're exactly on point because the way I was and still am in many ways is that I definitely am. I do a lot, and I work to try to be more than do, or as much as I do. But I go. I do. I do a lot. And so meditation, to go from, especially working or having a busy mind and then trying to meditate, can be really difficult. What I love about the Wim Hof method is that the breathing is an active breathing, and we're triggering the sympathetic consciously to learn how to adapt to that stress. So it's an active, connected breath combined with retentions, and you get into that meditative state really quickly. In 5 or 10 minutes, you're just really settled down, and the cold water as well works as a meditation. In addition, you really have to use your whole mind, body, and soul to deal with that external force. It's really like a primal threat to humans, and you have to just use all your energy to deal with that, and you got to get out of your mind and into your body
Right.
to be able to accept the cold. So it's a really meditative practice.
That's awesome. If anybody wants to connect with him, you guys, this is his kind of website. All his stuff is posted. So Spirit asked, I'm going to keep pinning this throughout the feed. So when was your turning point when you fell into trust with Spirit? Like full trust. All right, that's it. Like, when was that turning point for you?
So, that's such a good question. Yeah, it's interesting because as long as I could remember, even, and I didn't like acknowledge it as spirit or really know, but so, for as long as I could remember, from a very young age, I always had this like this relationship with myself or with spirit, and I would talk. It was always there, but I really didn't listen. I think until recently, and so I'd have to say there was a point where I got deep into my breath work, and I was in an ice bath actually, and this is about 3 years ago, and I just saw like everything just kind of like everything cleared out, and the big issues in my life, which at the time were my marriage was really out of alignment. I was married for 7 years, and just a lot of kind of turmoil, and not all terrible, but just really not in alignment. And
Right.
so things became really clear around that. And so that's when I think that was like a big turning point in my life, because I listened to the message I got there, and I trusted it because for many years I was, of course, wanting to make that marriage work, and basically at all costs would not, you know, didn't want to get divorced and all that. So finally, it became clear, and I saw the positive outcomes that would come from that, and I listened and moved forward with that, and that was one of the best decisions I've made. For my children, I have two children that are 6 and 4, and then so that was probably the most recent point for me that spirit kind of like smacked me on the head, and said, hey.
Wow. Do you teach alignment? You've mentioned it a couple times. Do you teach alignment?
I do. Alignment is definitely taught in my courses and in my workshops, and so we do focus on aligning yourself. And I feel like a lot of medicines, whether it's uh, just connecting with self, or plant medicine, or just breath, when you or the ice, it reminds me, it almost like anything not in alignment in your body, when you're in that cold water, or when you're in other situations where you're deeply connected with yourself, those things I feel like tend to come up, and you could really see the areas in your body that are out of alignment in some of the situations that I bring people through. So that's a big part of it.
Do you do group sessions?
Yes.
Okay. So if,
Yeah.
so if there's like, you know, a mom, a sister, a cousin and aunt and all come together and maybe a lot like over the internet come together, you can say that again. You can coach them and guide them through this like breath work.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you use so and say that again. And you use a lot of your intuition with with the people in the room. Maybe you don't talk about that yet, but
Yeah, so I get to know people. Big part of my work and my journey is learning and getting better at holding space for people, and creating a container and trust. So in our workshops and group classes, we definitely want to create a place where people feel comfortable, about opening up. So we always typically start with sharing, and I share and open up about some of my journey, and then we all share, and that's usually one of the most powerful parts about the workshops, and the
right.
people that are drawn to natural healing and things like the Wim Hof method and other modalities. They tend to be very um, powerful, growth minded people that have a really powerful story. So it's really some of the most amazing parts about my journey is the people that I've connected with along the way.
So, have you started opening up your spirituality and connecting with people? Not no spirituality, intuition. Like, so spirit's like pushing a little hard. So I'm like, okay, like, so let's say you're doing a group, whatever, you're holding one in Boulder. We're going to talk about Boulder next. And you're feeling something about that person. Do you trust yourself and say it? The sense of knowing, like we're talking about, have you really opened up to that yet?
I feel like that's come a bunch, there's a lot of yeses. So in the last, I kind of mentioned this before, but in the last year, especially, and it's progressive, so much is happening in my life with my new business, um, and so there's almost people are like showing up exactly the person I need is showing up at the exact time, and there's like no mistaking it. It's like too good to be true. It's like, whoa, of course I'm, um, was looking for this type of person. I needed this to help me with my business, and the person shows up at my doorstep or shows up at my workshop. And so that just happened. We had a workshop last weekend, and we are we have some needs for our center um, involving the earth element. Our
So,
optimal center is using the elements to heal, and so our earth element, we have some things with the earth element there. But one of the gentlemen's an old friend. He's a huge CBD. He's got a huge knowledge of CBD and that product and stuff. So it was right at the right time. But um, anyway, yeah, I'm trying to follow that intuition and you know grow with that.
So somebody asked, like, I heard them say, well, what is your new business?
So my new business is Optimize. It's a healing recovery optimization center in Phoenix that's opening in about a month in April. So we're so excited about it, and and the basis behind it is using the elements to heal. So we'll have recovery equipment,
Okay.
and we'll also have classes, breath, meditation, sound healing. But then we'll have equipment. So it's kind of like the science technology mixed with the ancient modalities that have been around. So we'll have infrared saunas, we'll have cold plunges, we'll have hot tubs, we'll have compression, we'll have some meditation devices that are integrate some technology to get your brain in a state of meditation and recovery.
So,
Um,
so a center for reconnection.
right, exactly. Community and connection. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I might have to like schedule myself a talk there, is what Spirit said.
Yeah,
Spirit is inviting me to your place.
yeah. We want you there. We want you to come out. So
um, and you're working with somebody else with this.
yeah, so one of my business partners, he was another example of just intuition or just spirit or what's another good word for it. I was going forward with this business and had the business plan, and this was in my realm for years, for 5 or 10 years at least, and I was moving forward with it, and I have one of my first meetup groups at my house with the Wim Hof method, and out of all the people that came, mostly it was just friends that I invited, and there was one gentleman that I didn't know, and I was kind of nervous about having somebody that I didn't know to my house, and I put it on Meetup for just a couple hours, and one person responded, and I took it off because I was I have enough of my friends coming that I know I don't want too many random people at my house.
Right.
So, um, so anyway, this guy shows up, and he now a year and a half, 2 years later, is one of my closest friends and trusted business partners, and he's a Wim Hof instructor as well, and he's very well versed in areas we complement each other. He's very great at holding space and connecting the spirit, and so we're learning from each other. So he just came in at the perfect time, and now I'm like, I could not have done this without him.
Oh, that's awesome.
His business, so it was just perfect,
Oh,
perfect timing.
that's awesome. So, can you read that question? Karen has a question about experimenting with
I mean,
sensors. I don't know what that is.
so those are float, otherwise known as float tanks,
Okay.
sensory deprivation pods, and I've done a lot of. I don't know, a lot. I guess is subjective, but I've done float pods. Or float tanks before. They have a company called True Rest here in Scottsdale. So
Okay.
I've messed around with those, and it's a great meditative device because you're totally deprived of your senses and you're in water that's filled with a lot of salt, so your body
Oh,
feels.
one of those things. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. We won't have them at our center. We thought about it, but it just at this point for our first location, it didn't make the cut with the maintenance and things. But I think they're a great tool. So I'm a huge fan of them.
Jamie's got a question on where in New Jersey and where did you hold your workshops?
So I grew up in Bergen County in northern New Jersey. I went to high school in a town called Allendale, and I go back. One of my childhood and close friends owns a gym in Hoboken, New Jersey, a boxing gym. And I've done 2 workshops there in Hoboken. I just did one a few months back. Um, and I love doing them there because we always get a lot of people to show up. I think partly because it's so densely populated, and it was so cold, and the ice, there was some really powerful people at that workshop. So anyway, that's where I grew up in northern New Jersey, and my family, my mom and dad both live back there, and my brother as well. My younger brother lives over there by the city. So
Very cool. So let's talk about your next workshop in Boulder. So anybody that's from Colorado, definitely, uh, yeah, slow down, tag your name and let's talk about that one. What's going on there?
yeah, so a friend of mine, you spoke about group classes. I'm doing a group like private event as
Mhm.
well as an open event in Boulder.
Okay.
So I'm doing one for a friend and his business and all his employees, a workshop. But then we're doing one on, I'm going to get the date here correct.
Okay, because I just heard win, so good. I'm glad we're
But
aligned.
just set it up. So it's on March 9th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. and it's ceremony at Star House. The facility is called Star House. And
Okay.
one of my so my other business, my one business is Optimize, my other business is Breathworks, and Breathworks is kind of like my personal brand, and where I promote my breathing modalities and my coaching or my personal coaching workshops, and then I also have started to grow just a team of my my friends or people that I trust in similar modalities or just natural healing, but also use breath work. So one of my connections through breath work and through my journey with healing is going to, I just got a battery low, is going to be helping me lead this workshop. And she's really well versed in ecstatic dance and the Shakti energy, and she teaches a lot of women's groups, and she brings a really good um, female energy. You
Right.
know, I think that's going to really complement. So we're going to kind of combine um, some breathing, some movement with breathing and meditation, and she's great at holding space and um, really bringing that feminine energy in. So we're going to be doing a workshop there at the Star House on March 9th.
Awesome. And people can find that and message you at any website and they can just connect with you.
Yeah, so we'll be creating the event today on Facebook because we
Okay.
just got it set up. So if anybody wants to follow my Breathworks page, and that's WERX Breath and then WERX page, that's the best way because I'll be posting it on that Facebook page.
Perfect. So after this, if you can, like after the video, you can put in the comments all those links because it's already on yesterday's, but somebody, when they're commenting, they get notified because
Okay.
Karen wants to put you in touch with somebody. So after you guys, I know his battery's about to die and I just don't want him to blank off.
No,
Like,
I have some battery. It was 10.
uh,
It's 10, so we're good.
okay. So after this, he's going to put in the comments kind of the links and where to find him if you guys are looking, yes, for the one-on-one coaching and the synchronized breath and anything to help you guys, yes, find your balance and center better. Definitely connect with Jesse. And say that again. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you that there's things coming your way, Jesse, especially with these earth elements, because they said connecting you also with earth elements. I feel like you're going to be opening up really soon with that and starting to channel and do some energy healing with the earth elements of nature and around. So I'm just going to say that. So I'm excited for your adventure. Yeah, anything last you want to tell everybody before we pop off?
Yeah, I guess the last thing is just, yeah, I'm really looking forward to connecting with more people in this space. And part of my journey and my connection with spirit recently has been really understanding my calling and my purpose. And the the breathing and these natural modalities have really brought me to a place where I understand kind of at a deep level that being connected with nature, my natural surroundings, and myself deeply is really where my purpose lies. And my childhood and growing up, my eldest brother, he became sick and had to deal with some mental and physical illness. He became obese. He struggled with depression and some bipolar issues and schizophrenia. So that really affected me, and I didn't at the time I didn't know it or really acknowledge it,
Right.
just in the backing. But now years later, I realized that he was the reason for kind of developing that purpose in myself. And so Jimmy passed away in 2018, and he was 43. He had a pulmonary embolism. So and he passed away. So that my journey through the breathing and connecting deeply with myself really allowed me to mourn and accept and feel the loss of my brother. And now with that has come in really part of my purpose is to feel what he couldn't feel and
Right.
connect with all the medications he was on and things that he was never dealt with and was able to feel. This is part of my purpose is to feel those things, and then also to help other people along the way connect with their feelings more, because I've definitely been somebody who um, you know years ago, I don't think I would have been able to connect as deeply with parts of myself. So that's part of my purpose. I wanted to make sure to share that with you and everybody listening.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad because there is a, you know, loss, and when people transition can be extremely hard. So I'm glad that you're not only continuing, his memory and his things that he didn't get to experience, but also helping people through that. So that's fantastic, Jesse. Thank you for telling your story and your journey. Thank you for opening up and being showing us, parts that sometimes we don't always like to talk about, personal things. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching, liking, sharing, commenting. He will post all his information in the comments below. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Thank you, Jesse, for being our guest.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Soon. All right, everybody, have a great day.